The turbulence hit like a slap, sudden, violent, and completely out of nowhere. The cabin lights flickered, a child screamed, and an oxygen mask dropped before snapping back into place as the plane jolted again. People gasped, clutching armrests and each other. And then, cutting through the chaos, came the voice over the intercom. Calm, but trembling slightly. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. If there are any combat pilots on board, please make yourselves known to the crew immediately. Row 10, Seat C." The woman who'd been sleeping against the window stirred, her head jerking up. She blinked, confused, disoriented by the sudden shift from peace to panic. Her name was Captain Maya Jensen, U.S. Air Force, retired. She hadn't flown in 3 years. She rubbed her temples trying to process the announcement. Combat pilots. On a commercial flight? Something was very wrong. The engines roared unevenly. The plane tilted, just slightly, but enough to send drinks sliding off tray tables. Passengers gasped as the aircraft shuddered. Maya looked out the window. One engine was clearly smoking. Not flames yet, but bad enough. A flight attendant ran down the aisle, her face pale and eyes wide with fear. She clutched the headrest near Maya's row, breathless. "Ma'am, are you a pilot?" Maya hesitated. "I was," she said quietly. "Please, come with me. No time for questions. No time for hesitation." Maya unbuckled her belt and followed the attendant toward the cockpit, weaving past frightened faces, murmured prayers, and the unsteady sway of the aircraft. The cockpit door opened after a rapid knock sequence. Inside, the air was hot and thick with tension. The captain, gray hair, late 50s, was drenched in sweat. The co-pilot's hands shook over the controls. Warning lights blinked like angry eyes on the panel. "Engine 2's gone," the captain said sharply. "Hydraulic pressure's dropping. We've lost part of the aileron response. I can't maintain pitch without overcompensating." Maya's brain clicked into place like an old machine restarting. "What's our altitude?" 22,000 and dropping. Location? "We're about 70 miles south of Reykjavik," the co-pilot said. His voice cracked. "Weather's closing in. We can't reach the nearest airfield without full control." Maya stepped closer, eyes scanning the controls. Every dial, every warning light, every sound fed into her mind. It was like slipping into an old rhythm, one she'd sworn she'd left behind. "Okay," she said steadily. "You're fighting asymmetric thrust and partial hydraulic failure. We can work with that." The captain looked at her. "You've flown combat aircraft?" "F-16s, 12 years. I know what it feels like to lose half a system and keep a bird in the air." He didn't hesitate. "Then sit down." She slid into the jump seat behind them, her hands steady despite the shaking plane. The muscle memory returned. Check instruments, calculate drag, feel the plane through its movements. The right engine sputtered again, belching smoke. The captain cursed. "Mayday! Mayday!" the co-pilot said into the mic, his voice trembling. "Flight 482 requesting emergency priority. Engine failure and control loss. Altitude 20,000 feet, descending rapidly." Static. Then a faint reply. "Flight 482, roger. Emergency runway preparations underway. Maintain heading and altitude as best possible." Maya leaned forward. "You're fighting her too hard. You'll burn out the left engine compensating. Ease her nose 2 degrees down and trim the rudder manually." The captain followed her command without question. The plane steadied slightly. The cabin stopped its violent shaking. A small victory. "Good," she murmured. "Now tell me what failed first." "The right engine warning started at 35,000 feet, the captain said. "We thought it was a sensor glitch. Then the hydraulics started losing pressure. We've been nursing her down." Maya looked out the window again. Clouds flashing with lightning below. The ocean churned gray and angry. A storm. Perfect. Any chance of a belly landing? "Not on the open sea," the captain said. "We'd break apart on impact." "Then we find land." The co-pilot's hands shook harder. "We're not going to make it that far." Maya stared at him. "We don't talk like that." "Not up here." Her tone was sharp, steady, the voice of someone who'd been through worse. The captain shot her a quick glance and nodded. "She's right. The co-pilot swallowed hard and adjusted his grip. For 10 minutes, the three of them worked in tight, desperate silence, correcting, calculating, adjusting. Maya could feel the controls through the vibrations in the floor. The aircraft wasn't just metal and wiring. It was alive, straining to hold itself together. The captain's voice broke through the hum. "You ever do this in combat?" "Once," she said. "Lost hydraulics over Kandahar. Got her down using differential thrust and prayer." He chuckled. Just once. A dry sound in the storm. "Guess we could use both right now." "Yeah," Maya said softly. "Both." Then, out of nowhere, another violent shudder. The lights flickered again and alarms screamed. "Engine 1 overheating." The co-pilot shouted. Maya felt her pulse surge. "Shut it down to 60%. No higher, or she'll flame out." "We need her alive, not dead." The captain's hands flew over the controls. The noise settled slightly. "Flight 482, this is Reykjavik Control," came a voice through the static. "Nearest field available, Siglufjordur, runway length insufficient for full landing." "Advise intentions," Maya's heart clenched. Too short, but it was something. She grabbed the mic. "Reykjavik, this is Captain Maya Jensen. Former Air Force, I'm assisting. We'll attempt an emergency landing at Siglufjordur. Prepare rescue teams and fire crews." There was a pause. Then, "Copy that, Captain Jensen. Godspeed." She exhaled slowly. "All right. We have maybe 15 minutes before fuel imbalance or system failure takes us down. Let's make them count." She turned to the co-pilot. "Trim the rudder manually every 10 seconds. Keep her nose stable. I'll manage thrust balance." The captain nodded. "You got this, Jensen?" Her eyes met his. "We all do." Minutes blurred. The storm outside thickened, rain streaking across the windshield in violent lines. The plane descended through heavy clouds, lightning flashing in the distance. Every sound was amplified. The creak of the fuselage, the groan of stressed metal, the rhythmic beeping of alarms. Then, through the window, land. Barely visible, dark against the gray ocean. A narrow strip of coastline, and beyond it, a tiny airstrip hugging the cliffs. "There's our shot," the captain said. Maya took over engine control completely. "I'll line us up. Keep her steady." The runway was short, too short for a 737, but it was the only chance they had. She calculated angles instinctively, feeling the rhythm of descent in her bones. Her hands were steady now, her breathing calm. The same calm she'd found years ago in combat zones, when fear became focus. "Flaps 20, she said. "Flaps 20. Gear down. Gear down." The co-pilot's voice was trembling, but his movements were sharp. Altitude dropped. 3,000 feet. 2,000. 1,500. The ground rose fast. The runway grew larger but still impossibly small. "Brace," the captain warned. Maya's voice cut through the panic. "We're bringing her home." Eyes forward. Hands steady. She eased the throttles, guiding the crippled plane toward the narrow strip. The ocean glared below, whitecaps rising like claws. At 300 feet, the left engine coughed. At 200, it flamed. "Engine 1 out." The co-pilot shouted. Maya didn't flinch. "Then we glide." The descent was too steep. The captain fought the yoke, muscles straining. The controls shuddered violently. "Pull," Maya ordered. "Now!" The wheels hit the runway with a thunderous crash. Metal screamed. The plane bounced, then slammed down again, tires bursting. Sparks erupted beneath the wings. Passengers screamed, but it held. They skidded down the short runway, brakes burning, reverse thrust half dead. The nose wobbled, then steadied. The end of the tarmac rushed closer. Cliffs looming. "Come on. Come on," Maya whispered. 50 feet. 20. 10. The plane screeched to a stop, just meters before the cliff's edge. For a moment, silence. Then the cabin erupted in cries. Shock, relief, prayer, disbelief. Maya leaned back in her seat, her hands trembling for the first time. She closed her eyes. The captain turned toward her, face pale but eyes alive. "You just saved 217 souls, Captain Jensen." She exhaled slowly. "No, sir. We all did." Outside, rescue crews were already rushing down the rain-soaked runway. Passengers began to stand, sobbing, embracing, whispering her name. She didn't hear them. She was watching the clouds, the engine still smoking, the sea raging just beyond. A flight attendant approached softly. "Ma'am, everyone's safe. You should come back to the cabin." Maya nodded. In a minute, the captain touched her shoulder. "You ever think about flying again?" She smiled faintly. "Guess I just did." When she finally walked down the aisle, the passengers applauded. Some stood, some wept. The child in row 8 waved at her, holding a toy airplane. She smiled at him for the first time in years, with genuine warmth. She had walked away from flying because of the memories, the losses, the noise, the things she couldn't fix. But today, she remembered what it meant to take control, to face chaos and pull life out of the jaws of fear. The world would forget her name again soon. That was fine. She didn't need the fame. She just needed to know she could still do it, that when the sky called her name, she answered. Outside, the wind howled over the cliffs. The plane sat still, battered but whole. Maya Jensen looked out at the horizon and whispered, "Still flying." If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that courage never retires and heroes don't always wear uniforms. They just wake up, rise, and take control when the world starts falling.